Be advised, mature content ahead. This podcast is brought to you ad-free thanks to the Legion of Demons at patreon.com/NOTLP. If you like what you hear, there's much more at patreon.com/NOTLP. Join the Legion. That's patreon.com/NOTLP. And now the show.
How do you do? Just a word of friendly warning. I think it will thrill you. It may shock you. It might even horrify you. So if any of you feel that you do not care to subject your nerves to such a strain, now is your chance to, well, we've warned you.
Hello.
Hi.
Oh, hello.
We're doing.
Hello.
Hi, Andy.
Hello?
Hello.
We're still on our ironic theme this month of bad to worse, which now feels like salt in a wound.
Yep.
Considering.
Well, when did this was on a list that was created a long time ago? This theme option.
It was.
So really, we've predicted this.
Sure.
And we're sorry.
Yep. Yeah. So Kelley and Andy, we're all isolating. We're doing our part to flatten the curve.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, curve flattening,
which is becoming kind of mandatory for a lot of you. Where
or if it isn't where you live, fucking do it anyway, asshole.
Yeah, this is one of those rare cases.
Unless you have to go do the working thing to keep us all alive.
Right. Where you kind of have to be your own leader because like a lot of leadership is waiting. And it less so now, but in the last couple of weeks, it felt like a lot of leadership was like being very deliberate and slow to act. And you kind of had to make this decision. Like Kelley and I made this decision on our own before a lot of people were like, you know what? We see what's coming. It's time for us to take ourselves out of the equation. We're both vulnerable.
Oh, y'all Corona hipsters, aren't you?
We are.
That's right.
We have Corona on vinyl.
We were isolating before everybody else was, before it was cool.
Corona on vinyl.
I see you in my garage. Small batch.
So it's the foursome here. It's me, Amy, Andy, and Kelley. I'm Freddy. And the sound quality will improve because we're going to try to get everybody set up at home with their real studio microphones and all that stuff. Which you patrons are so generous, that we spent this money on upgrading this studio where we can all be together. And now we can't be together for an indeterminate amount of time. So we're going to try to make it nice.
We make it nice for you.
He's going to be so nice. It's nice.
Like, this is for my housewives out there. Like Dorinda Medley said, I made it nice.
I'm still going to be super comfy. I'm going to have my little laptop set up next to the bed, mic stand. I want to be all good.
Yeah.
Remember to turn yourself every so often so you don't get bed sores.
Yeah, you don't want the bed sores.
Oh, I do all kinds of stuff in bed.
Okay.
I bet.
I'm afraid Charlie's going to be so comfortable he's not going to record in the regular studio anymore.
He's not going to ever leave his house ever again. He's like, I
think I still have Corona. 2 years from now, it doesn't even exist anymore. Well, I got to work from home today.
Well, they're not going to be able to get you out of your stairs because you're going to just be one of those Wally people.
I am. That's my goal.
Oh, boy.
So, yeah, we're still, like, the show will still go on.
Yeah, this is one normal thing that we want to hold on to. We hope that we're bringing you some kind of comfort during this. Monster movies with your friends, which is, Kelley's great song that opens the show and closes the show usually. Although this week we have something special.
Oh, shit!
What?
Damn, son.
And it brings us comfort too to do it.
Absolutely.
It's like you guys being out there to listen to us and sort of be our extended friends. That gives us comfort. you know.
Yeah,
So
this was one of the only things like keeping me going. So looking forward to recording the show.
Yeah.
it's like we're symbiotes. Like we're the symbiote, and you guys are Eddie Brock. You know, it's
And
Venom joke, folks. That's
Yeah, I just want to say we've gotten some like really nice messages from like listeners saying about like the same thing, that they're just glad that we're still, you know, keeping some sense of normalcy in their lives. And thank you for anybody that wrote in with those messages.
we're gonna be Adrian Barbeau in that fucking radio station.
Oh, the fog.
there's no fog bank out there.
I want to be a pirate ghost.
You are a pirate ghost of my heart.
Oh,
I do want to say thanks, and also, and as Andy was mentioning, we got a nice message from Scott, emailed the show and said, "Thanks for the fantastic show. You're like the best friends we've never met. You'll be keeping me company while I work from home, which I'm fortunate to have because not everyone can. Hope that everyone at NOTLP is doing well until the craziness subsides. Keep being awesome. Thanks, Scott." And I'm one of those lucky people too, and Amy too, that we get to work from home for however long that the economy allows. And we'll get through this together. This is why your support on Patreon is so precious to us, that you continue to support us if you can. That's amazing.
we don't expect it, and take care of yourselves before you take care of us.
Right. Yeah. Just take care of yourselves as best you can. But your continued support is really amazing considering what's going on in the world. We know there are more important things. But Discord has been a godsend for me because I'm a social person. I need to interact with people, and we've been on there. If you're a patron, our Discord server, I talk about it all the time. I think it's the best part of this. And this Thursday, we'll be watching Surviving Edged Weapons together, which might come in handy in this post-apocalyptic landscape.
Don't say that.
For sure.
But that's at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please come to the Discord server. Watch that with us. We'll have a laugh.
What date is
We'll
that?
be ready for the toilet paper raiders
Yeah.
because they're coming.
Yep. That's the 26th.
March 26th.
March 26th, the Discord server. Surviving Edge Weapons is a police training video from the 80s. And it was originally recommended to us by Ben in Australia years ago.
Yeah.
And we're finally getting around to it.
I hope there's some good 80s hair in that.
Yeah. Yeah. So anything else that you guys want to say?
What are
Oh, yeah.
what
I mean,
are
there's a lot we can say, but we don't necessarily want to say.
what are we all watching right now to get us through?
Let's see. The same old shit I normally watch.
Yeah.
I'm not adventurous.
We don't watch a lot of stuff, but we've been listening to a lot of stand-up comedy. And in fact, Tom Segura has a new special dropping on Tuesday. So on Netflix, everyone. So be watching for
That's
that.
cool.
And Bert Kreischer has a new one. Yeah. Bert Kreischer has a new one on Netflix. Now, we actually saw that show. We realized, we went and saw it. So it's kind of a repeat, but it's still great. So,
We watched it yesterday, and it was fantastic. I highly recommend that.
Real good show.
Yeah, I've always been a big fan of Bert Kreischer. Back when he used to do Bert Conquers Everything, I think was the name of the show, where he would go around to different amusement parks and extreme experiences and do that.
He had a couple shows like that, yeah.
I, of course, am still continuing on my Star Trek trek.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, your Star Trek.
my Star Trek. I just met 7 of 9 on Voyager, so I'm getting to know her.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, she's that sexy Borg, right?
Yes.
The sexy Borg.
Sexy Borg.
She really did.
That's how I know.
She was like the first glow up on Star Trek.
Yeah.
When Cass got her new hair,
Yeah.
that was a glow up moment. Is that still valid? Am I up?
Sure.
Am I up on things now?
There are no rules anymore,
Okay.
other than be nice to each other.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot the next one.
Wow.
Oh,
What are you? You've been-
Avenue 5 has been my
Yeah.
jam, which I think that was their season finale, the last episode. I'm not sure. But especially, it's really funny to watch now because it's about a group of people with incompetent leadership at the top trying to work through extreme circumstances and catastrophe. And
that's a bad to worst thing if it's with the theme of this month too.
Right. Yeah. So, it's a good time. This week, our main attraction is Mark Watt's pick, Kill List, which is a movie I love, and I was so excited he picked it because it's one of those ones that I kind of wanted to revisit, but never deliberately took the time to do it until now. And I think it holds up incredibly well when we talk about that. And then Kelley will be reviewing The Girl on the Third Floor, starring CM Punk, for Straight-to-Video Russian Roulette.
What does the CM stand for?
Crazy motherfucking.
Oh!
Is that true? No.
I don't know. Crazy motherfucking punk.
Cro-Magnon man.
Coronavirus master.
Another thing, again, not to harp on Discord, but again, I think it's might keep us psychologically alive. Pluto TV is a great free service that you can watch. It's on any platform. It's basically like an old school cable television service with a channel guide and everything, but it is a simulcast. So if you want to watch something together and you don't want the complication and the decision making process of going and finding something streaming and trying to sync it up and blah blah blah, you can just go on Pluto TV, and we have a special section of our Discord server. There's a text channel and a voice channel where you can say, hey, I'm on channel so-and-so, this is what's on. If anybody wants to watch together, we can text or talk about it. So that's what those new channels on the Discord server are for. They have an entire channel.
That's awesome.
It's great. They have a whole channel devoted to MST3K. That's all it runs all day and night. Same with Riff Tracks. And then they have an American Gladiators channel. There's a RuPaul channel. I mean, there's something for everybody, including like weird religious programming and really far right wing and far left wing programming. It's really crazy. It reminds me of like when you would come home from the bar in the 90s at 3 a.m.
And Cheaters was on.
And Cheaters was on, yeah, or old episodes of Maury Povich or whatever it is. But it's kind of it's a nice comforting service right now.
Pluto. They said you weren't a planet, but you're a planet in my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Once you take that, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Wait, it's considered an ice giant or something?
It's considered a bitty bitch by science. But I know that Pluto is a champion and will rise to its former glory.
Okay, so science is like, I don't know her.
Yeah.
I believe in Pluto. I don't know her.
I don't know her. That's my
Like,
purse.
she's got gowns, beautiful gowns.
Alrighty.
Anything else for the top before we get into roulette?
Nah.
No?
For me.
Nah, for me.
Andy, anything?
Not for me. I'll leave my rant to the end of the show.
Okay.
Oh, dear.
All right.
Okay.
We'll be right back.
Hello, boys and girls. It's time for Straight-to-Video Russian Roulette.
The man who remains steadfast under trial. So how's the house coming along?
It's been hard. Cooper!
Certain places have personalities and sometimes they're rotten.
Hey, how's the little kicker doing?
It takes a real strong hand to turn them around again. This house has a history of bringing out the worst in people.
Certainly creepy.
What the hell is that?
Promise me you won't say a word to Liz about last night. You need to get out of here.
What was that?
What?
Hi, handsome.
I hate what you've done with the place.
I'm worried.
Stop!
You want to help me?
Nope.
Don is the proud owner of Portsmouth's former house of ill repute.
You know when a woman doesn't like to be futzed with too much?
I don't want to see you here ever again.
Houses aren't that different, I guess. You want my advice? Get your husband and your baby far away from that house.
Robot house.
Yeah. So, no, look. Look, the thing about this is you're going to be asking yourselves at the end of this review, so did he like this movie or did he not like this movie? And the answer is yes. I'm going to spoil it.
All right.
I can't I don't know if I recommend it. It's not good. And it's ultimately frustrating and kind of scattershot and silly. But then also there's some real effective parts, and it is real creepy through a lot of it. And there is like a scene, and Amy, I apologize in advance to describe it to you because something happened to a dog. So this is very much not a recommend for you.
Right.
However, that scene is one of the most effective scenes in the movie. That like it sort of transcends the rest of the movie in terms of quality. And then there's a scene towards the end of the movie that does that too, where it's like, oh, if the rest of the movie had been like this small section, it might have been very good. But it's not like that, and it's bad. And also, so anyway, let me get to it.
All right.
Oh, also, it feels very much like season 1 of American Horror Story, but sort of without getting it as right as that did. Anyway, so this dude buys this old house to fix up, and he and his wife are having a baby, but she is running her business from their old house while he fixes his place up. You get little hints throughout the first couple of acts that he has maybe committed some kind of white-collar crime and is sort of, and got out of, like, managed not to get in trouble. You're not exactly sure, and he seems kind of like a loser trying to, like, do some redemption work. So he's fixing this house up that he insisted on buying. And then we're introduced right off the bat to the pastor lady across the street. And this is one of the things I don't like that it does. It's sort of like trying to do that Sentinel thing where it's like the church versus an evil house where they have to keep an eye on each other. Like, it's like, well, the evil house keeps an eye on my house. And I don't like that. I like the idea of her as a neighbor character. She comes over and first introduces herself to the dude because he's there in the house by himself with his dog. And, but then she just spouts off these quasi-religious cryptic quotes, and it's just a failed attempt at what could have been an okay idea. Then creepy stuff starts. The house is creepy as shit. There's all these like weird gooey spots in the walls.
Gooey?
Yeah, weird gooey spots. It is. It's gross. But it's definitely creepy. And so there are like some weird shots. Like I feel like this director's trying to. I think this was like a maybe I don't know how many they've done, but if it was a first attempt, this is real promising because there were some good things. But basically, you get a lot of shots of this house. The house is really great. It's super creepy. And there's just like holes in the walls and all this old furniture and stuff. And he's hearing sounds. And right off the bat, though, there's this girl that shows up, this like sexy, youngish girl. And he's, like I said, he's away from his wife. We ends up banging her. And we find out that this guy has kind of cheated before. And, you know, he thought this was going to be like a one and done and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, he was horny. And, well, anyway, this girl keeps showing up now. And he's trying to tell her, like, yo, that was like a one-time thing. This isn't going to be a thing. And she's kind of doing that psycho, like, thing where she just, like, pops up in the house uninvited. And, so I'm going to get to the scene. I don't know if you want to listen to it or not, Amy. It's not overly graphic or anything, but this guy's got a dog, and it's with him all the time. And so she pops into his house again, uninvited, and he got real, like, he didn't hurt her, but like I think he like basically was like, hey, I'm being very threatening about don't come back in this house, don't come back here, don't ever come down here.
We don't want you anymore.
Exactly. But now, because she's creeping him out. So he either wakes up, I think he wakes up, and he's going looking for his dog, and he can't find the dog. And there's like this weird sound in the house. And this whole sequence is really tense because you don't know what it is at first either. And then all of a sudden, you and the character come to the realization that it's the dryer. And there's something in the dryer. And it's on. And so there's like this...
That really hits home for Amy.
Well, and there's this long scene, not long, but like, you know, they build this tension as he goes down the stairs to his laundry room. And then this guy, like, he's not a bad actor, but in this moment, he did a great job of, like, you see these emotions cross his face. He knows what's in the dryer. And
you mean CM Punk?
I guess if that's who plays Don. Whoever plays the character of Don.
The main character.
And yeah.
Yeah.
Who is he? Is he supposed to be somebody?
He used to be.
He's a wrestler.
Yeah, he used to be a wrestler.
Oh, okay.
He was his shtick was that he was straight edge.
Oh, okay. Well, not in this movie. He drinks.
Oh my goodness.
He does this really great job of showing like himself, like readying himself, and like just the like really like trying to steel himself for what he's going to see. It was a really great, effective moment. Really horrifying. Like and it was what he thought it was going to be. Anyway, shit gets crazy. The whole thing is...
What kind of dog was it, Kelley? Did it come off fluffy from the dryer?
Oh my God.
No, you didn't see it. Like, really. Like, he opens it and you kind of just see like a shadowy... Like, they don't show it to you.
Good.
Okay.
I'd be mad.
No, yeah. You just kind of see that there's a shape in there. You know what it is.
You know what the worst part of, like, when there's violence against dogs in movies? That sound. Like,
yeah.
Well, you didn't hear anything like that.
Yeah, as long as that's not in the movie, I'm more okay with, violence against animals.
No, well, that's actually, again, that's what made this so, because there are actually a number of times where they kind of tease that something's going to happen to the dog, and then it doesn't,
Let's stop talking about the dog.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I'm saying, well, to what I was trying to say, I think they handle it in a way that's not sort of exploitative and gratuitous.
Yeah.
And it actually ends up really working to their benefit because it really kind of hits in a movie that's super all over the place and kind of cheesy and corny at times. There are all these moments where he'll be like exercising or doing chores, and there's just this horrible death metal sound, like the horrible death metal songs come on. And I don't mean death metal is horrible. they're horrible death metal songs.
Gotcha.
And it just sort of distracts from the atmosphere. I think they thought it would go, maybe help. But for me, it just takes you out of it. But then there is a lot of creepy atmosphere. The house is really spooky, and him and his friend, they discuss like the ceiling in what's going to be him and his wife's bedroom. It falls in like it's a huge crash, and they go up and they see that there are all these like seat, like there's this whole wooden like area. There's a whole area upstairs, and there are like these like seats that are lined up around the hole in the ceiling, so it looks like it was set up for people to watch something that was happening down in that room.
That's creepy
like a
as
theater.
shit.
Yeah.
It is creepy as shit. No, it's very creepy. Like that's why I'm so back and forth on this, because so much of it is really just not good. Like it fails at what it's trying to do, but it also sort of accidentally manages to do a lot of creepy stuff with it. So you find out now that this used to be a brothel in this town. And that, the people, local bartender, he says something like, there's a scene in the beginning where the guy first goes into the local bar and the bartender asks him where he lives, and he tells him, he's like, "Are you queer?" And the guy's like, "What?" And he's like, "Well, no, it's just that house has never been good for straight men." And then blah, blah, blah. It's haunted. It's a haunted whorehouse. And then brothel, whatever you want to call it.
Blah, blah, blah.
And his friend gets killed. He thinks he kills the creepy girl, but she's a ghost, so she can't be killed. And there's this thing. There's all these weird little marbles. And then there's another girl ghost. You don't know where she comes from or what the point of her is exactly. She's got a fucked up face. I could never quite... I could never tell what was wrong with her face exactly, but something was. And there were all these marbles that would like come spilling out of like closets and stuff, and they would roll around and chase people. And
I didn't know this was a marble movie.
Yeah,
is this part?
It's firmly within the Marvel genre.
Is it in the Marvel cinematic universe, or is it the Sony Marvel?
No, it's the Marvel cinematic universe.
Yeah. That's better.
Oh god.
But anyway, like you find out, like, so he's communicating with his wife over Skype here and there, or webcam or whatever, and he's kind of coming apart, and she's worried about him, and his friend gets killed by the ghost, and he has to like wall him up in the wall, and then he tries to wall up the girl he thinks he killed, but of course he comes back down and she's gone. She's a ghost, and then you think kill him. But anyway, at this point, I'm like, they lost me. Then his wife shows up. This is after what you think is basically the end of the movie, where the other ghost, the weird face ghost, comes out and she's laughing at him and whatever. And then his wife shows up by herself, and he's nowhere to be found. And she's just setting up, and she talks to the pastor lady, who gives her a little bit more about the house. Well, anyway, she's just waiting for him to come back, but she tells the lady like about how he defrauded his client. He was like some kind of financial person, and he defrauded his clients and barely evaded federal prison, and how he cheated on her before, and he wasn't supposed to be drinking, but she found out that he's been drinking since he's been here, and blah blah blah. And the woman tells her that it's just a bad house, and blah, more of her goofy, not very well written dialogue. Well, the wife walks back across the street. She's pregnant, remember, by the way. Not that, that doesn't really play into it too much, but she is. She walks back across the street now. It's after dark. And when she walks in, it's very like The Shining, where there are just all these like people dressed in like clothes from the 1900s. It was a brothel 100 years ago, by the way. Let me go back and tell you that. It wasn't like 2 years ago. It was like, an old-timey brothel.
Your more modern brothel?
She walked in and there were people wearing pink who farted t-shirts, just wandering around.
Because those are so popular 2 years ago.
Well, to people who are going to a modern brothel, they probably are.
Who farted t-shirts?
They just wear whatever they find in those donation bins,
Oh, what unfortunate prostitutes.
Well, those aren't the prostitutes. Those are the Johns.
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
I just imagine a whole bunch of Johns just walking in and everybody had the same t-shirt on.
So
it was so popular.
They were like Bart Simpson shirts. So she walks in and there's all these like old guys in like, old timey clothes and just people wandering around, and it's real creep. It's actually shot really well, and then the score suddenly is good where it hasn't been much of the movie. Suddenly, like, the music gets interesting, the cinematography gets real good, and it becomes really creepy. And because she's just in there, and no one's like really paying attention to her, but she's like bumping into them, like it's like they're physically there. Again, it's kind of like how American Horror Story handles its ghosts a little bit. Like they're basically just physical beings that can interact with you. And she's walking up the stairs. And she sees that girl. She ran into that girl ghost, not knowing she was a ghost, who told her that she'd been quote unquote assisting Don. And so, of course, now his wife is like, yeah, I know what you mean by that. Well, she sees her now, and she's dressed in old-timey clothes, and she tells her to go upstairs. The show's already started. Or somebody tells her that. So she goes up to that area that's above her bedroom, and it's filled with people. Now it's like it used to be, and it's like this theater. And she goes, and basically it becomes this BDSM show. And I thought, they really built the dread really well. This is the other scene for me where it elevates itself, is her trip up the staircase through like these groups of what you are assuming are ghosts of the old, visitors to this brothel. And that they build it up really well. And you're like, what is this freaky ass show going to be? Because earlier, I feel like this is a very rambling review, but I don't care.
Who cares?
Earlier, like there's a scene where the guy is renovating and he finds this area upstairs, and there's like this little corner where on the wall are like these real childish drawings of like a little girl holding hands with like this creature with like a beak, and he's naked, and it's super creepy. It's like again, there are like all these weird little effective atmosphere moments. Well, anyway, she gets up there. The guy and the girl who's in the BDSM performance is the ghost girl. There's a guy comes out and he's got on like a fucking plague doctor mask, and then he's shirtless, and he's got like a little whip, and he whips her, and that's fine. But like I thought it was going to be something real fucked up. Like to me, BDSM isn't scary, so it was just like once you got to that, I was like, oh, okay. And then later you find out the ghost tells the wife that guy ends up killing her. And then I think there's a little deformed girl that he ends up torturing and killing. That's the other ghost. But they don't show anything of that. She just sort of tells the woman that later, like, and then he killed me.
And then he killed me. Boom, 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 boom.
But like the part, they sort of lost me. Like they built up to what was, I think, was supposed to be like this really creepy, gross sexual moment, but it was just sort of tame and whatever. So it kind of dropped back into mediocre territory, and it kind of mediocred out after the end of that. So I don't know. If you really like ghost movies and you're just like, I'm just starving for a ghost movie that's not horrible, then, sure. It's definitely creepy. It really does manage to nail, like the people behind this nail a lot of atmosphere. The acting is mostly good. That CM Punk, he's actually a pretty okay actor, and like I said, he pulls off that one scene beautifully. So the acting is pretty good. His wife's character, her name is he calls her Bunny through the whole movie, but that's not her name. Liz is her character's name.
Wow.
Wow. I'm Wow. She's
like what is this? What is this ghost goal? Does she have like some type of vengeance thing going on?
It's a vengeance thing, yeah. Basically, because when she disappeared, none of the Johns gave a shit. That was like the whole thing. Like when her and the other little girl were just murdered and disappeared. Nobody asked what happened to them. So now she, I guess, destroys. I don't know, revenge, whatever.
She destroys revenge.
And then there's an ending. I won't even spoil the ending.
Whoa, there was an ending.
I'll save that for you if you want to watch it.
Well, that's glad to hear. It's good to know that the movie's still not going on. That there is no ending.
But it's just, I don't know. I like things about it, but overall, I think it was a mess.
Well, okay.
Is it cheating? Yeah. Is it cheating if you have sex with a ghost?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Ooh, split the room, Andy.
I don't think it is.
It's not. The ghost is not alive.
So it's okay to fuck dead people, is what you're saying.
Well, what I'm saying is it's not cheating. I didn't say it was all right. I said it's not cheating.
Well, Freddie, we're going to have a different definition.
What happens in the county morgue stays in the county morgue.
All right. Well,
think about it. You can't get that ghost pregnant, so there's no repercussions, really, right?
We don't know that, Andy.
Well, remember again, according to American Horror Story Season 1, a ghost can get you pregnant.
That's
Spoiler alert, I guess. Sorry to anyone who hasn't watched it yet.
I never made it to the end of Season 1 because it got too ridiculous for me.
I'm going to assume I understood what Andy said and just nod.
I said I didn't get to the end of Season 1 of American Horror Story because I stopped watching. It got too weird.
Oh, it was so good.
When you stop watching, you can never make it to the end of a series. I've noticed.
I don't know if there was an ending like in this movie.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah.
You miss 100% of the season finales you don't watch.
All right, let's see who's gonna watch the movie for next time. Let's get that Jack in the Box out and start a cranking.
Let's crank it, baby.
We're gonna start with Andy.
Okay, Andy, listen up.
Jack on, Jack off.
Looks like you're all right, Andy.
It's my tween.
Your turn. Oh, Amy.
Uh-oh. I'm it.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me for that little cough. It wasn't. It's not.
It's okay.
I don't know, but I don't think. The movie is on Hulu. It's called I'm Just Fucking With You.
Oh.
Where Woogie at?
A young man and his sister endure a night of increasingly frightening practical jokes while spending the night at a secluded motel.
I'm fucking with you.
I'm just fucking with you.
That's not the title, is it?
Yeah.
You can't put a curse word in the title.
Well, there's like a little asterisk for the U in fucking.
Oh,
so it's okay then.
Yeah, it's perfectly
I still know what you're trying to say, movie. You're not split.
You put that dirty word in my mind.
I think
he's like I'm asterisk-ing you. What? That's not a word.
So anyway, I will do that on our next.
Sorry, that was a stretch.
You did fine. You did as good as you can.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
I'll review that for the next time.
Anything else? Roulette's over?
Girl, bye.
Let's clean up them brains.
People should suffer.
This is just a bunch of music. This isn't much of a trailer for
Sure it is.
for us.
It's a spooky trailer.
It's more spooky that Andy keeps coughing.
That's very spooky. Anyways.
Yes. Welcome to this main attraction, Kill List. Thank you, Mark Watts. What an interesting film.
Yeah. Bill Wheatley, who did A Field in England, which I have yet to watch. Been meaning to.
I think you need Ben.
Huh?
What?
Ben Wheatley.
Oh, yeah. You're intolerant to Ben Wheat. You got a Ben Wheatley allergy?
Well, I think you said Bill Wheatley, and then I did that dick thing where I corrected you. I said Ben Wheatley.
Oh, yeah. Did I say Bill?
I think it did.
I think it was Bill Withers.
But then also, yeah, Kelley can't because he's keto.
That's right.
But I can't tolerate Ben Wheatley. I got it. So I'm sorry, everybody. I didn't get this.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know that I got it either.
I'm in the same boat, Kelley.
I really wanted to, too. I really wanted to.
It's very similar to Hereditary. The storyline.
No, I know the storyline. That's the only thing that is similar. I think Hereditary did it a lot better.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm not saying this is bad. I just didn't get, like, it didn't, for me, like, I didn't get it.
It was just kind of just a flat line for me.
Really?
There was no like tension that was like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was just kind of flat to me. That's what I'm trying to say.
That's kind of that's exactly the opposite experience that I had. Like, I felt like this was a great thriller that when I first saw it, I didn't even know it was really a horror movie. And and then, I was watching it, and you have these two characters, just to set this up, who were in some sort of military or paramilitary group that had a mission in Kiev years ago that went bad. Mysterious. We don't know the details of it. And now they're just kind of working as regular people in the civilian sector, kind of, except one of them has a back injury and he is on the dole, and his Swedish wife, who looks like Kelly Ripa, is kind of fed up with him just being around the house and not really doing much. And they have a son together, a young son who's like 6 or 7 years old. And things are getting really tense because she's the only one working and they're not really making ends meet. and they invite his old buddy Gal over and his new girlfriend.
What a gal.
Yeah.
And I love that guy. This is part of why I wish I got more out of this, because that's Tires from Faith. I love that dude. I love that actor.
Yeah, he's great.
So I was super psyched. Anyway, go ahead.
So they have this dinner date, which to begin with, there's even extra tension built into this dinner date because the husband, the main character, whose name is escaping me right now.
Jay,
yes, Jay and Gal.
Jay and Silent Bob.
They're meeting this new
girlfriend,
and they're also kind of serving a dinner that is beyond their means to begin with. There's like a very limited amount of rack of lamb. He bought, I think, too much wine. He spent too much money at the grocery store getting ready for it. Things are teetering on the edge of a blow up right here.
This dinner party reminded me of the episode of The Office.
Yeah.
Where they had Jan and Michael had everybody over to their townhouse.
Yes.
Yeah.
That night, you made everything all right.
It was just. I thought this was one of the best parts of the movie, just because it was just so like palpably awkward.
It really.
Well, yeah. At this point, I was still in because I thought it was building, and I know it is, but like I was still kind of in. It was very awkward scene. Like I was still with them at this point.
No, it's kind of like a double-edged sword. I did like this scene, but at the same time, it reminded me of how unlikable these characters are. So that's why I wasn't invested in these characters, because everybody in this movie was pretty much unlikable.
I really liked Gal. I thought he was likable, even though, he's a contract killer.
I mean, he's likable to a certain extent, but once you know what he does, then
right,
that's kind of tossed out the window for me.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of a necessary evil of the storyline they're telling, that these are people who will do anything really to make a living, essentially.
They're
that's why I had like no stakes in this movie, because I didn't really care for anybody. I didn't care what really happened in them.
Sure. Yeah. I can understand like why some people would watch this and feel that way, but so the dinner scene, they're introducing Fiona to
Fiona.
Yeah, Gal's introducing her to Jay and what was the wife's name? Shell. And they have this, what starts off as kind of a nice dinner, and they're kind of giving them the tour of the house, and there's a picture of Shell in a uniform. She was part of the Swedish military. And so they set up that she's also maybe kind of a badass too, not just
right.
Jay. And then we get into this kind of heated moment where they're at the table, and it's revealed that Fiona's job is she fires people for a living. She's kind of what Mitt Romney used to do. She's a hatchet man.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Kelley?
I just thought it was funny. She used to say, like, she's in HR, and like the rest of these people are like, they're doing. She's just like, I'm in human resources.
Yeah, but what happens is she gets up to go to the restroom after this intense confrontation. Yeah, because Jay's like, well, what you do is bad, even though he's a former contract killer. He is criticizing what Fiona does. Now, Fiona gets up to go to the restroom, and this is the first inkling that there's more going on than meets the eye. She takes the mirror down in the bathroom and carves this occult symbol into the back of it, and then rehangs the mirror, and then returns to the dinner table.
And she takes these bloody tissues from the bathroom and that Jay had when he cut himself shaving.
Yeah, she pockets that, and she returns to the dining room. And at this point, Shell and Jay have been needling each other at dinner, and Jay blows up and snatches the tablecloth off and says, "Abracadabra." And they've all been drinking at this point. And he storms off, and dinner is essentially ruined at this point. However,
but then it gets groovy again.
It does get groovy again, but in the interim, as it gets groovy again, Jay is approached by Gal and kind of taken aside and says, I've got us a job. And it's with this mysterious client. It's a list of 3 people they want assassinated. And he says it's basically real easy. And this is when you realize what Jay and Gal have been doing for a living prior. In the garage there, he has military grade weaponry and stuff. And this is a real strange moment too, because apparently Shell had been already talking to Gal about all this stuff behind Jay's back because they really needed the work. And she kind of instigated. She's
aware of what they do and is
right.
Cool with it. We need the money.
Right. So they decide to take the job. And there is this, it kind of ramps up. Like they go to meet their new client who looks like Joe Biden. Like a
sickly, tall man-esque.
Yeah, kind of like
version of Joe Biden.
It's like if Joe Biden and the tall man from Phantasm
they had a baby
mushed together, played by.
Oh God, that's so sad. That I'm hoping that he's our president. Yeah. The tall man.
Yeah. Little boy. So the client has them come meet him in this hotel. And again, blood comes into this because the contract, they all bleed on like Jay and the client
cut their hands.
And it's out of nowhere. It's like a surprise to Jay that this is going down, and they bleed on this contract. And this is just more of like the sigil being carved into the back of the bathroom mirror type stuff, where you're like, well, okay, this is really getting extra strange.
Blood magic, baby.
Blood magic. And so they commence their job, and the first hit is this priest.
Mm-hmm.
And when they go to complete the hit, they kind of assume that the priest has been doing something really nasty, and that's why maybe he's a pedophile. They don't really know necessarily exactly why they're doing the job.
They're just doing it.
But the priest actually thanks them for killing him, and that Jay begins to wonder why this job. He's going beyond just doing the job. Now he wants to know why they're doing the job. And he also starts ramping up the violence of how he's doing the job, because he's convinced that the client has hired him to kill these people because they are so evil.
Yeah.
Well, the next guy they are assigned to kill, they see him coming out of a storage unit, so they break into the storage unit just to see.
This section is called the librarian.
And he's like hoarding a bunch of what you don't see it, but you assume that's videos of women being hurt and
maybe snuff films. Yeah. Did this remind you? I'm sorry. Go
ahead. It's not True Detective.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was very
that one scene where you don't see the videos, you just hear the sounds.
Yeah.
And you see the reaction of the people watching the video, and they're just so horrified by it, and it just takes you places because you can only imagine what they're seeing, and it's, your mind takes you places further than what's actually shown. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be really bad for Jay begins to weep. And this is a guy who has already been exposed to like a lot of violence in his life, and he's weeping at watching these videos.
So he goes,
they had me at this part again.
Yeah. And the sounds coming from the video were pretty horrific too, because it sounds almost like children too.
Yeah, it could be.
It could be anything,
And he goes ham on the dude.
Yeah, they follow the guy back to his house, which is a really nice, like upper middle class type of home.
And they've got him tied up, and they're like trying to, get him to admit who's at the top of this. They want to know more, so they could stop it. And the guy, so Gal leaves the room to go steal money from the guy's safe. And the guy says to Jay, like, hey, does he know who you are? Does he know what you... I can't remember exactly what he said, but the implication is like, you're something special, and this is really... And then he's like, thanks. And, like, keep hitting me. I'll keep saying thank you.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
That's a That's a rough scene, by the way.
Oh yeah, where he breaks his hand and just keeps like away at it with the crowbar, and then the head and everything. It was very
So
gnarly.
at this point, they've got an address to somewhere else. So now they're going off plan, off list, and they head over to this other address, and Jay just loses his fucking mind on these dudes in this other place.
It looks like it might be the set where they filmed the snuff films, possibly.
So now Jay,
there's like this gross mattress that they like a camera's focused on, so that's just another more where your imagination takes places.
So at this point, Jay and Gal are kind of like, Jay's lost it. Gal's like, you're scaring me. So they kind of take a break and they try to get out of the job. Meanwhile, back at home, Shell's been like, Fiona keeps coming over.
Yeah.
The girl who had carved the occult thing. Mm-hmm. And hanging out with her and everything. And it's kind of weird,
It's
right?
weird because they've only met this one time, and she shows up with a present for the kid like the next day. And there's even more strange material with Fiona, where she shows up outside of their hotel room in the middle of the night along the side of the road, just waving at Jay through their window. And it's very eerie.
And then after Jay has come home and take this break, they find their cat murdered and hanging from their porch.
Yeah.
So like some real weird shit's going on. They can't get out of the job. The client's like, sorry about your life.
Yeah, he says,
yeah, because they're going to use the money that they stole to cover what the job would have paid them.
Right. So they gotta finish it up. Shell goes to their cottage somewhere. She's like, I'm scared.
Oh, can I bring one thing up? Like, I was before this, like, his hand gets infected from the cut that the client gave him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did that have something? Was that part of like the cult thing, like the infection and stuff?
It could just be an infection, or it could be something more insidious about it. I'm not real sure. I've seen this movie twice, and the second viewing of it, things read a little. It felt like it just made more sense the second time. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I could even go back and watch it a third and get additional stuff out of it, especially if I watched it, where I didn't watch it 9 years apart.
Yeah,
because make a big difference.
Because when he goes to the doctor to get his infection checked out, the doctor he sees is kind of like weird about it too.
It's not his doctor. That's the
that's
thing.
why. So I'm thinking that that cut was for a reason, but it never was explained why the cut was a reason.
Well, I mean, the cut was just. I think maybe the infection was just an incidental way to get him. This is very much like Rosemary's Baby, where when Rosemary's trying to get answers in Rosemary's Baby, the people she would normally trust are switched out with these people who seem to have ulterior motives. And this is not Jay's regular doctor. This guy, and he's not asking him about the hand at all. He's asking him questions you'd expect from a psychiatrist or something.
Right.
So I think it may have been just a vehicle to get him to that doctor to have that moment play out.
I feel like there's no payoff for that whole infection thing in the cut and the doctor that got replaced.
I think it is this going to sound like a lame English class answer to this, but I think the cut is a symbol of Jay slowly becoming part of this group. Like the more infected his hand gets, it's kind of a physical representation of like the infection in him that's turning him into a member of this giant like coven or cult. I don't think it's meant to be taken, as a literal like body horror type of thing, but more as like.
I didn't think that, but the movie just kept dropping these little things that didn't have explanations. Like when they go kill the priest and the video guy, and we're always wondering why they're okay with being killed and why they're saying thank you.
Oh, okay. The reason why is they are all also members of this group.
I know that, but like,
well, they're honored because this guy. It's just like in spoil for Hereditary if you haven't seen it, but in Hereditary, the the son is this exalted king character. He's like a messiah to this cult. And in this, Jay is that same character. And like, they're honored because the person who's coming to kill them, the ones who know who he is, it's like having Jesus come in and do it for you, you know?
I guess that I just didn't get that from what they showed me. I think I need more. I need to be spoon-fed more things, and
well, you know
how subtle it was.
It kind of requires 2 viewings. I mean, to really, if you got something out of it and you enjoyed it at all, you go back and see it a second time, and if you know going into it, it's really very eerie, because the only people who aren't part of this grand scheme to have Jay fulfill this destiny that this like pagan cult has for him are Shell and Gal and his son. Everyone else is in on it, including the people that Jay kills.
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure?
I get that.
Pretty sure. I mean, that's the way it plays to me.
No. I mean, are you sure that Shell isn't part of it?
Oh, right. Right.
She could be, but the reason I don't think she is because when you get to the segment called The Hunchback, members of the cult are sent to kidnap her and her son, and she fights back.
Well, where he was sent to kill this last person, is at this big estate. Is her cottage right there?
Well, they don't say. I mean, they just happen to know. Obviously, they know where her cottage is.
It has to be close, right? Because he's there,
right,
at this other estate, and then she's at the cottage, and then they meet
right
at this cult's little like ceremony place.
And that's the big reveal. Like, obviously, maybe it's a 10-minute drive, a 20-minute drive. Who knows?
I'm just trying to figure it out.
So the cult comes, and she puts up a good fight because, again, she's ex-military too. But they succeed, and you don't see this. Actually, really, the reveal isn't until the segment called The Hunchback, which is the last job they're doing. And they go to assassinate this
MP.
Yeah, MP. What do they mean by MP in this?
They're like a politician. Like
okay, that's what I thought. I wasn't sure because over here that means
a member of parliament.
There you go.
So they go, and there's again, it's very much like every English pagan horror movie. They're naked old people, and they're wearing straw masks, and they have torches, and it's very, very much old pagan. And they have a girl with thorns, like a crown of thorns around her eyes, and it just looks, the bad shit's about to go down.
Oh yeah.
And they're doing a human sacrifice essentially, and at this point, was it Gal or Jay just opened fire on them with like
Gal?
Yeah, he had like a automatic weapon. He just starts picking them off, and they, instead of them scattering or whatever, they all rush Jay and Gal, and there's this big chase confrontation. Gal gets killed, disemboweled in the tunnels when they're trying to flee this property, and the
detective really did seem to take quite a bit from this. Right?
Yeah.
Good point.
So they get Jay, they capture him, and they bring him back to this field where almost like a Wicker Man type of scene. And they bring out this Master Blaster-esque kind of character, this hunchback that is covered in a sheet, and he's blindfolded, both Jay and the hunchback. And they have knives, and they have a knife fight. Jay kills the hunchback, but it's revealed that under the sheet, it's his wife and his son is on her back. And they then put a crown on him, and now he's the king of this
But does
cult.
she laugh?
She
smiles and laughs. So it made me to believe that she was part of it or in on it.
It could have been, or it could have just been like, the kind of like laughter you have when so much shit goes wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Where you're just like, of course my husband just stabbed me and our son. What a day.
From bad to worse.
Right. So I could have read that either way, but yeah, that's a good point.
That's where my mind immediately went, and it's just not clear.
I feel like if she were part of it,
would she have killed those people?
She wouldn't have killed the people that came to get them.
I don't know.
And then she wouldn't be so weirded out about that girl coming over all the time,
Right.
I guess. Too.
Yeah, so I don't think she was part of it. This is a great
But it's just that.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It was just that weird smile thing, like because the movie did just drop so many different little subtle hints.
Or
Yeah, I thought we were going to be payoffs, but nothing really did pay off for me.
Or Fiona did like recruit her, and then she's Fiona, not the hippo. And that's why she's like, I'm leaving. I'm going to the cottage, and it's right by this place.
Oh, okay.
He's gonna be. I don't know.
That doesn't make sense to me.
You don't make sense to me.
Maybe I watched this a third time, but I feel like she is definitely not a part of it. And I do think her outsized reaction to being stabbed by her husband is, of course, this is how this is going to wrap up.
I think they just wanted to give you a very unsettling ending.
Yeah, also that. But it's a great callback because earlier in the movie, they're fighting in the yard with the Nerf swords. The family is, and then at the end they bookmark it with him. You know, if it had been Nerf at the end, this would have been a completely different movie.
Completely different.
It would have been.
But so I don't know. I really enjoy this. For me, this is right in there with movies like The Wicker Man, Hereditary, and all that stuff. So, but I can see how if it's a little too muddy, it might ruin the experience for a lot of people.
You're like, oh, this is a Hitman movie,
right?
Nope.
I didn't dislike it. I like listening to the, you're sort of laying things out in an orderly fashion. That makes it better.
Yeah, I think this is a movie like you got to go back on and go in and say, okay, everything in this is really happening for a reason. It's not just weird for the sake of being weird. And then it feels, I felt the same way when I saw The Wicker Man the first time, where I was like, oh, I need to go back. Cause it was one of those movies I got like on one of those discount every Halloween in Walmart and Kmart. They'd have those racks that had all the like Night of the Living Dead and stuff. And then The Wicker Man was one of them. And the first time I watched that, it went completely over my head. And then when I went back and, you kind of start to pick up on the little pieces of subtext and really small moments that feed into the bigger picture.
I may have to do that.
It's the thing. Like, I never really got a big idea of how powerful or threatening this cult was.
Yeah.
So I would expect. I just maybe wanted some more paranormal or supernatural stuff going on. It just felt like just people instead of just some like all powerful entity or god that they're serving.
Right.
I just wanted more. I just wanted like more explanation. Maybe I'm just simple like that.
No, I mean, that's just a matter of taste, I think. I do think, though, for me, it works the opposite way, where it's actually kind of creepier that this explains to me how a group like this keeps a low enough profile to exist in a modern era. Like, So that, for me, that's kind of what works there for me.
Yeah. And I just want to get an idea of what their end goal was, too. Yeah.
Well,
because because in Hereditary, I knew why they wanted, like, why they were doing the things for like the god to be reincarnated so they could get their riches, and for Wicker Man to like sacrifice for their crops and stuff. I just had no idea why they were doing these things.
I think it was a power deal, like a deal with the devil type of thing, because I think that's insinuated by just the fact that they're on this estate, and that clearly these are people in the upper echelon. These are the 1%.
Why are they killing them, though?
Why are they killing their own people?
Yeah.
I think it's human sacrifice.
Oh, okay.
And I think throughout, like,
it might be part of their deal, too. Like, once they reach a certain point,
right.
Once you've gotten what you've gotten out of your, this end, then I get to take you this way.
It's kind of like, what was the movie we just watched with Cushing and Lee that was, where they had it was very similar to this. It was part of our Cushing Lee month.
The anthology?
No, the movie where Peter Cushing was the scientist and Christopher Lee was the detective, and they were in. There was the kids that died on the bus.
Night Train Terror.
No.
Good.
That was like they got reincarnated as the kids.
Yes. This is that same genre of movie for me as
Scary Movie 7.
Damn it! I can't remember the name of it.
I know what you're talking about. I can't remember the name.
I'll try to find it out while we're talking over.
It's got the orphanage. Remember the orphanage?
Yeah. I do remember that.
Yeah, it's funny because I remember really liking that movie, and I can't remember the name of it.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, this movie.
Nothing But the Night.
So I had Night, right?
Yeah. Nothing But the Night, which is in the same. It's just a very English kind of story.
Yeah.
I think for some people, the murkiness of the cult and what its aims were and what's going on is fine.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm like Andy. I want to kind of know more because otherwise it doesn't bring as much gravity to the situation.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway.
Yeah.
And I think the end, people are kind of like not fooled necessarily, but they're saying, "Oh my God, this is a great movie because it had such a shocking ending." I think the ending really helped make this movie stand out in a lot of people's minds.
You're saying, had it not been for the Hunchback moment, you think?
Yeah, the end. Yeah,
you think that's the thing that makes this a memorable film for a lot of people?
Yeah, maybe I was selling the movie short, but for me, that's the only thing that really kind of stood out for me.
Yeah.
But even then, it reminded me of Serbian film.
Yeah.
I still haven't seen a Serbian film.
Me either.
It's very similar ending, so with that scene like that done already, I'm like not really surprised anymore.
I squealed a few times the first time I saw this. I was telling Amy, I was like, when the scene where Fiona goes into the bathroom and carves that symbol, I squealed. And then the other moment that really got me the first time through was when the people come around the corner with the torches for the first time.
Uh-huh. Well, I thought that was a good scene because they were making these inhuman sounds a little bit.
Yeah.
You notice that at all?
Well, did you in the trivia for this on IMDb? They say, I didn't know this, but apparently sharks make noises, kind of like whale song, except their own version of that, I guess.
Yeah. So, the sounds they were making.
Yeah, they use that.
Sharks make music.
Yeah, that's what the sounds you're hearing in the sequence with the tunnel and everything, where they're being pursued, are the sounds that sharks make.
No, I said sharks.
Oh, sharks!
No, sharks.
Sharks make a different kind of music.
Yeah, those definitely make sounds.
Yeah,
Andy would know.
They make sound and fury.
And I will say there were some very effective practical effects in this movie, especially when when they go to that place where the snuff films are filmed, and he keeps bashing that guy against the wall.
Oh yeah.
And you see his basically skin off his face is gone, and he's still alive and still kind of twitching. You remember that scene? I thought that was really effective.
Yeah. Unsettling.
And that scene where he's torturing the second victim, the assassination guy, and he just bashes his head in with that hammer.
Yeah,
that was rough.
It was a good cut.
Yeah.
A really good cut there.
Yeah. Yeah, it looked totally
Seamless,
real. Yeah.
It was very reminded me of Midsummer.
Yeah.
Midsummer.
That scene where they bash that guy's head in.
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah.
The head bashing scene reminded you of another head bashing scene.
I just have to explain to you just in case you didn't get it.
It reminded me of the Gallagher Sledge-O-Matic sketch.
First they rose like it's Brett. Okay, so maybe that's the problem I had with this movie. It's like so many scenes reminded me of
Gallagher
scenes from some other movies that I thought were done better.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely part of a subgenre where the same story is being told over and over again. I just happen to really love this kind of story.
Yeah.
So
it's not fair to compare movies really, but I just kept reminding of how it can be done better.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a few. I feel like this is, as far as this style of movie though, this is probably in my top 10 as far as these weird pagan cult movies.
Yeah, I love cult movies like this, but it just didn't do much for me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Mark.
That's okay. I think Mark can take it.
Well, now to be fair, I didn't start this movie till like 1:30 in the morning. So I may at some point watch this at a less late time.
Yeah. Did you fall asleep?
And give this. Well, I may have dozed out here and there a couple places, but not really. Like, I mean, I remember everything. You know, I wasn't like I said, it wasn't even that they weren't giving me enough for anything. There was just something about the pacing and the act. Like, I also, like, normally this is not a problem for me, but I did have a little trouble understanding some of the dialogue here and there.
Yeah.
And
there's a lot of accents.
So it just felt real. It was just hard for me to kind of, like, keep invested. Like, there were just little things taking me out of it. But, you know, maybe if I watch it again when I'm not, you know, tired.
There's no shame if you're somebody who has difficulty understanding someone with an accent in using subtitles.
We did.
I do it as my hearing gets worse. I kind of have to do it anyway with a lot of stuff. But if you add like a thick accent or a mumblecore style of dialogue recording,
with an accent thick.
Yeah, it's like I'd rather, like, it's either watch the movie and understand it or not. If it comes down to that choice, like, why do people shame people for being like, well, you got to turn on, well, look at this, you're so uncultured that you got to use subtitles to understand English. I'm like, no, some people just have a harder time understanding. It's just it's just your biology more than it is your cultural exposure. Like, some people can't hear as well as others.
Damn it,
Janet. I'm just saying. Have some fucking compassion, right?
Yeah, fucking yeah.
But this one is worth really giving it your undivided attention and being alert and really watching it in a very mindful way. I think you get a lot more out of it. Yeah.
And I don't want to sound like I'm crapping on a movie more than it deserves, but I wish it focused more on the cult as opposed to how awful the relationship was between the husband and the wife.
Yeah, I get that.
I don't think there's much more you can do.
You know what?
With a cult
Andy's allowed to
storyline,
have.
though. No, I agree.
Because I agree with that.
Andy, you're totally entitled to your opinion. But what I'm saying is, as much as you say, okay, this has been done better before, what else can you say about a pagan cult that hasn't been said 100 times? Like, it's enough for me to leave that.
No, here's the thing. It's like, no, like, I'm not upset about the story that's been told a million times. I just wish it was told better. The same thing with zombie movies. Right. I can watch I'm not never get tired of zombie movies, but I just wish it was done. I like zombie movies when they're done well.
But what I'm understanding you to say is, like, you wanted more time to be spent with the cult and explaining who they are and why they're doing what they did.
Yeah, that's for me. That's what I needed.
Right.
Instead of, because it took me out of it a little bit because I had too many questions.
Right.
As opposed to focusing on the tension that was being built up.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people probably watch this and feel the same exact way. I think this movie is for people that want to have those questions and don't want all of them answered and kind of want to take it at the end and let your imagination run away with you. And then I think some people, they're like, hey, you sold me a bill of goods that there's going to be a weird cult. I need to know exactly what they're getting from the devil here. I need to know why they need to sacrifice people to get it. And I understand.
Yeah, like I said, I need things spoon-fed.
Yeah. And that's,
I'm a dummy.
No, that's not dumb. That's another thing. It's just like the subtitles thing. Some people want a complete story told to them, and some people want a window into a bigger thing. Yeah. And that's fine. I mean, like, resolution's great. That's why sometimes I prefer watching a movie over watching a TV series, is because I want something to be tied up. I want that feeling of satisfaction at the end.
But, like, I don't need everything spoon-fed to me. Like, I do have an imagination. Like I said, like that scene where it's just a reaction from what they're watching on the screen. And, like, my mind goes to awful places. So it's not like I don't have an imagination.
Yeah.
It's just this one.
Well, I don't mean to say that someone who wants a more succinct and explainable like resolution to something doesn't have imagination. It's just like there are people who that doesn't turn them on to use their imagination in that way. They would rather be like, you're the storyteller, tell me the story.
Yeah.
You're putting too much on me as a member of the audience to fill in these blanks. Not for me. That's absolutely a valid point of view. I'm more the opposite, where sometimes I do want that, but 9 times out of 10, I'm disappointed in what they give me.
He feels like
agreed. I like I like having to figure things out sometimes. A lot of times.
Yeah.
All right then.
And also one more thing. Sorry.
What?
The thing that was so effective, more about this movie, like the thing that was so effective about Wicker Man and Hereditary, and I felt like the main characters didn't have any choice at all, that they were trapped by their circumstances, and like it would be like puppets basically. I felt this guy had more agency in his choices, and that's why I didn't feel there were any stakes really, because he had somewhat of a way out.
Were you thinking more because like their situation really hadn't gotten to the point where they were so dire financially that he should be doing something this extreme? Like they still had a nice house and a jacuzzi?
Yeah, not that. It's just he's done bad things before, so like this was nothing to him. It was just the fact that, like in Hereditary, Toni Collette's life was basically laid out for her, and she had no idea about that. And in Wicker Man, the guy was trapped on this island with no way out. I just felt this guy had more choice against the cult, and more power against the cult.
Yeah, I this to me is more in line with Rosemary's Baby, as far as like again she's gaslighted in the same way he is in this. Where I
see that. But in Rosemary's Baby, I felt more of a threat from what was going on than from what was going on in this movie.
I think part of that might have also been that your main characters in this, you're like at least the victims, if you want to call them that, like they seem to be much made of more like tougher stuff than what Rosemary was made of.
Yeah.
So that makes in Rosemary's Baby, she seems more helpless than these guys do, when maybe really it doesn't matter that they have guns and military training. Like you're still doomed.
Yeah. No, I thought it was a good movie. I didn't like cream my shorts over it like a lot of people have been.
Yeah. I mean, it's not for everybody. Like,
yeah,
it's
not for everybody.
Who was it? Was it in Wayne's World where he says they didn't record music to please everybody? That was the Bee Gees.
Yeah.
Well, all right, we did it, y'all.
Yep.
We successfully completed this theme month.
We did.
Bad
to worse.
We brought it to a close.
So everything's gonna be okay from now on. Now that we're done. Oh gosh. Yeah.
So
next week we usually we would do our feedback news. If you have anything to say. I don't know what news there is going to be other than this movie's not filming. That movie's not filming.
Right.
This is not coming out. Although we'll talk about things that are actually coming to streaming services early, I'm sure.
We'll figure something out.
Yeah, that's Kelley's job. I can help though. crew@notlp.com is our email address. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can find us there under NOTLP or Night Living Podcast. What's our phone number? It's on our website.
513-666-0456.
There you go.
And I think I'm right about that.
I'm proud of you. He could be wrong, so go to notlp.com.
We did have some people calling the hotline and not leaving a message, and that might have been telemarketers or scam artists.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you want to leave a voicemail there, or you can always email a voice memo to the show, crew@notlp.com. If you want to have a nice high quality audio file, you can do that.
Quality.
And we'll play it on the show most likely. Yeah. We have 13. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I just want to say, if anybody's just out there just lonely because, you're isolated, just feel free just to reach out to us.
Yeah, please do.
I'm not going to like write you a novel on the, as a response, but we're going to just, we're there for you if you guys need us.
And Andy, you've been doing like a really out of this world job with the social media stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm just trying to keep people engaged because I know everybody's kind of, looking out for whatever stuff to do. So I'm going to be asking more questions on, our Facebook and Instagram pages. So I just want to let people know that we're here for you guys.
Well, it was really nice to see that because I'm not on the social media very much. But like when I go out there as a person, as an individual, not part of the show, to see that means as much to me as it probably does to some of the listeners to see all those photos you shared from old Whorehound weekends and stuff.
Because this would have been the last day of Whorehound weekend.
Yeah. Very bittersweet.
Very, but those were such cool pictures. Yeah. He's so pretty. Andy, you said you had a rant for the end of the show?
Oh, yeah. I just want to let you people know that however you're feeling about the situation, your feelings are valid.
Yeah.
If you're like pissed off or whiny about it, that's fine. Nobody knows how to navigate the situation. Because I've seen all these people like posting these things like, things could be worse. There are other things going on in the world. And like that thing where people are saying like, well,
whataboutism.
Yeah, exactly.
What about it?
People are saying like, well, Aunt Frank stayed in the attic for 4 years, and like, so you should, buck up and just shut up and put up with it. Like, no, like I'm used to this way of life, and it's being stripped away from me. I'm allowed to have really bad days where I feel awful, and don't invalidate my feelings because I'm not reacting the way you think I should be. You know what I'm saying?
Agree.
Exactly.
Damn straight. I mean,
people. There's one wrong way to react to the situation, which is going outdoors.
Yep.
And socializing. That's the only wrong way to react to the situation. Just if you have a bad day, that is totally fine. Nobody knows how to do it. This is a whole new world for everybody. And just go through your feelings. It's going to be fine eventually, but don't feel bad if you get pissed off or sad about certain things. That your feelings are valid.
Agreed. It's okay.
And I applaud you. I applaud you, Anne Frank. What she went through was awful, but that doesn't mean that I can't feel a certain way about certain things.
Well, I think Anne Frank came out and said, "Let people live their lives." She said that. I saw it on Twitter.
Yeah.
So it was on a TikTok.
And people are saying like, why are you so involved about this Kanye, Taylor stuff? There's more important things around the world. Like, I need a distraction. Please let me have this.
You can't get culture is even more important during times like these than it is when everything's fine. Because we are all in a heightened state of awareness and vigilance and trying to do the right thing each individually as best we can. Pop culture actually might be saving people's lives right now just by getting their blood pressure down and making them feel a little less hopeless and a little more normal. So if you feel like it's, if you want to shit on somebody for caring about the Kanye West, Taylor Swift telephone call thing, then your life is a little too easy that you have the energy to do that.
Exactly. And I just want to say that I'm just so glad that Kelley got vindicated. She was right.
You know what? I'm glad she got vindicated too.
Yeah.
I did not like the way that Kim Kardashian did that.
It's amazing that you understood what he said, considering how the signal broke up.
Freddie, Andy, and I are as one.
That was unreal.
As one on this very sacred thing.
So do we want to thank our Beelzebubs now?
Yes.
We have 13 Beelzebubs who are keeping the lights on in OTLP. You guys are amazing. All of our patrons, we love you so much, especially now with, again, like I said earlier about Discord. I've been able to hang out with some of you guys there. Ghostface Billa and Paul and Todd, everybody who's been on Discord and kind of propping each other up. That's been really, really amazing. Yeah. So Alise,
that's my girl. That's my home girl. She helped.
Thanks for keeping the lights on.
She, along with Kelley the other night, helped talk me down off a ledge.
I was like, why are you on that ledge? It's cold outside.
Girl, get your ass inside.
And Alise is keeping, I mean, like, she's grad school working.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm really impressed with you, Alise. I think you're amazing. And I don't know how you can focus on homework or any of that stuff, but I'm really impressed that you can. Amanda, who was just on Discord the other day, we were watching some Pluto TV together.
Yeah.
Bill Chandler.
Hey, what's Discord?
What did you say?
What did you say, Kelley?
I said, what's Discord?
What's Discord?
Oh, Discord.
What's this?
I had to act it out with a chord here.
Yeah, okay.
You get the joke. Yeah.
Is it Discord or Datcord?
Bill Fahrner, Blake Heath,
All my dudes.
Branan and Emily,
They my baby.
Yay!
Ernie Perez, Iona Goodwin,
Iona, great one.
Jeff Lancaster, Cassie and Jeremy Burmeister.
Every one of these names
Hey, guys.
fills me with love.
Keep posting the daily potato shots of Gamora. Those are great. Mark Watts, thanks again for your pick this week. If you guys want an opportunity to pick our main attraction for the next theme, just sign up for our mailing list at notlp.com, and we will randomly pick someone from that group. Todd to Pompa.
The bomb.
I know. I think it was Todd was talking about getting the new Doom Eternal game, which looks pretty cool. So, and I don't know if any of you are on like Xbox Live or whatever the version on other systems is, but also down with playing some games. I'm Freddy NOT. I think I'm Freddy NOTLP on there. I'm not real sure, but you can probably find me easily enough. And Tree and Alex McNulty.
There's my baby.
Hey, guys.
Hi.
And again, many of you have been with us, like supporting this show for a very long time. And whether it's through Patreon or just sharing posts or just being there for us emotionally on Twitter. I know Dave right now out there has the COVID-19.
He got the Rona.
And anybody else out there who's
JC might have
suffering,
the Rona.
JC probably has it. Our buddies, our friends from the internet. So we're just thinking about you and sending all the good vibes, healing vibes we can to you.
I really enjoy calling it the Rona. I saw it on
My Corona.
I'm loving it. I found it on the internet, and that's how I'm working through this. I'm calling it the Rona.
Someone should draw Rona McIntyre, where it's just like Reba with in her head is the coronavirus molecule.
Mm-hmm.
So Kelley, you want to get on that?
Please.
Absolutely.
Drop everything. Anything else before we wrap
Oh, yeah. Rest in peace, Penny Rogers.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He knew
that was, yeah.
Yeah, he lived a long and full life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some long and full hair.
Awesome music.
Mm-hmm. I found out because Dolly Parton told me.
Yep.
She left this really like sweet message on her social medias.
Yeah.
So she's an angel.
Stream.
Yeah. Also sending good vibes out to Doug Bradley, who's been diagnosed with colon cancer, and I know he's having surgery soon.
Jesus fucking Christ!
I know the hits, baby.
I know it's crazy, but he's a super nice person who is really supportive of the convention circuit and
he's always
the
very
vendors.
nice to us.
And he's always been super nice to us. He recorded a goofy bumper for us once, and was just really kind and generous with his time. And still, even he's made this about like other people, even though he's going through this. And I'm sorry about that chime. He made a lot of like his posts lately about just helping the people who can't work the conventions right now, even though he's going through this amazingly difficult time. So try to send love his way too. And everybody needs some love. Give as much love as you can. A friend on Facebook, Michael Gibney, I reshared like his post. He wrote this great thing, but he ended it with, he starts every day with thinking about what he needs and then how he can help that day. And he takes care of what he needs first, and then he does the one thing he can help every day. So I think that's like a really simple way to kind of compartmentalize and bite this, take this in tiny bites.
Gotta take it in bites.
I think that's really, really something. But Kelley's one thing I think that will help us is he has a new song, and we're going to close the show out with it. And
yeah. I just wanted to tell everybody about it real fast. So I wanted to give, I have a fake band. I have a real band, which is tight, with other people. But then I have a fake band that I do that's just me. And I'm doing all the things, in all the instruments. I wanted to learn how to play drums. So this is kind of an opportunity for me to teach myself how to play drums and make music. And so I have this fake sort of stoner, psychedelic, kind of doomy, but not super doomy, fake band called The Obliging Victims. And all the songs are sort of horror theme related. And this first one is sort of like an homage to satanic coven occult movies. Was inspired by The Devil's Reign initially. But there, it's sort of a sexy Satan song for you. But it's all me, just to toot me in horns. So,
all right, here's Old Goat by The Obliging Victims, aka Kelley Kombrinck.
All right.
Nice to meet you, girl. The pleasure is all mine. So sorry if I stare, but you just look so fine. If you'll just come this way, that wiggle in your walk is so distracting, but I'd really love to talk. I have the influence, and yes, I have the means to give you everything you want to, hand you all your dreams. So take my hand, I'll make you understand. This is a church of sorts. Why don't you have a seat? You should take off all your clothes. I'm turning up the heat. I have influence, and yes, I have the means to give you everything you want to, and you all your dreams. So take my hand, to my